certified and you're trained on how to do it. When you decided that you want to help men mainly, like that would be kind of your, not that you'll only help men, but what would be the biggest problems you're seeing in men now that, like, for you, that's why you can help them? Like, where do you find that? And even with people you worked with or people you've kind of had calls with, where is, like, what's the big issues you're seeing that they can address? And again, they can address quite easily. You just have to own up to what they're doing.
Yeah, I think men, yeah, we're completely different. Like our head space is, you know, there's a reason why that, you know, between 40 and 45, you know, the biggest killer for men is suicide. We're almost scared to talk, you know, and I think a lot of us bottle it up, and then there's two options, right? Either do talk and let it all out, or take the other option, you know. And that suicide's impacted not me personally, but close friends, and I think I've seen what it can do, and I've been in dark places myself, and men are really shit at talking about it. So I think it's a lot of it's society, isn't it? Like, especially my for instance, my parents' age, like when I said ages and ages ago I'm going counselling, they were like, really? Like, you don't need that, you know. It's the stigma, isn't it? So all of this is stigma, and not even if your peer groups and mates, you know. I've had, when I was going through my darkest times, they were like, oh, you know, the classic, oh, snap out of it, you know, all the classic one-liners, oh, you'll be all right, snap out of it, and man up, and all these words, and you're like, well, look, because I've been there, I feel I've got better tools, techniques, questions that I can be like, well, you know, because we, as a society and men, we focus on using then booze and other situations to then turn on and be like, wow, that's all right, I'll have a beer because that will sort my anxiety moods out, because that's what I did, right? Life stresses, relationships, kids, work, all of these then become an excuse to be like, yeah, brilliant. And I think, like, a lot of that, women are more susceptible to talking and letting it out, whereas we bottle it up a lot.
And it's kind of it's in our nature. I suppose it's the survival of the species. Men we're built differently to women, 100%, physically, emotionally, intelligently, depending on the situation and what we're doing. But one of the things, like you said, is like I've witnessed, and I've had friends that have gone through some quite dark times. And that whole thing of, oh, snap out of it, yeah, you'd be grand, like, what's wrong, just get your ass out of bed. And again, a couple of years ago, even further than that, I would have been one of those guys, like, just get up and do something. Like, you're playing the victim mentality. And but one of the things that I've kind of realized, and how I can kind of equate it, and you kind of would have had to have done stuff like this to equate it. So if you've ever done a challenge, or like run a marathon or ultra or swim, or done something physically that is so physically and mentally exhausting, and you're just like, why the hell am I here? What am I doing this for? And there's no amount of music or talking that can get you out of that spiral. You have to physically and mentally go through it till your brain starts kind of coming around. And it's like peaks and troughs, so you have to go through it. And it's kind of like, I suppose, like an addict to a point, is that you have to get to a point where you're able to change.
Yeah.
And that's the only real person that can do that is you. So, you know, people